Jacinta, welcome to Borderlines on Nigeria Info. It's a pleasure to be talking to you finally. It's taken us a little while to get here, but we're here.
Right.
And we're in sunny Durban, which is your hometown.
Yeah.
Let's get to know who Jacinta is, because as you know, I'm from Nigeria. I'm a Nigerian broadcaster, but Nigerians don't really know you. What they know is what they've seen on social media.
Yeah.
So I think we should start from there. Jacinta, from a little girl to Jacinta today. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
What can I say? I'm a young lady, grew up in Durban. Well, I was born in KZN, Ishowe, which is like a homestead.
Okay.
It's more of a rural area, and we left there when we were young. And then we moved to Kwamashu, which is more of a location where during the Group Areas Act, it was just a place dedicated to black people to live there. And that's where I lived until I was a bit older. I moved to Johannesburg, stayed there a bit, and then came back here to do tertiary education. And ultimately, this is where I ended up. Because my home, I think I feel more in touch with Durban. I mean, I've always loved sports. I've been involved in lots of things, you know, community activities. I've always been for the community. I've been an advocate for GBV and other community areas. I started doing radio when I was 18 years old in tertiary. And I was on radio until last year, which saw me get fired because of my March and March activities. And yeah, I've always been an active young person, always been vocal about my beliefs. I grew up in a very church environment. At home, we're Catholic, so that's where I got the name Jacinta from. Because it's a Roman Catholic name.
Oh, Jacinta is a Roman Catholic name.
Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
at home, we all have Catholic names.
Right.
Every single one of us.
Right. So both your parents were Catholic?
No, just my. I grew up with my dad ran away with my dad's family after the violence broke out in Ishowe, where I was born. That's when my family moved to Kwamashu. So
what violence was that? Was that one of the uprisings?
Violence.
Right.
So my grandpa, my dad's father, was an active ANC member who was part of the struggle, and he played a very significant role in the fight against apartheid. So when that broke out, I ran with my mom, who took us to this side of the world for safety, and that's how we landed up in Kwamashu.
And he didn't come after you?
My dad?
Yeah.
Well, afterwards now, I mean, I have a relationship with him now, but back then it was, you know, who's this man? He ran away. But now I think we're good. But I've always had a relationship with my grandfather, because he remained behind even when the family ran that side. So he was closer to me than my father. So yeah.
So are you from quite a close family then? Any siblings?
Yes, I have one sibling.
Okay,
I have
boy
a
or girl?
brother.
A brother.
Yeah, I have a brother. But because my family grew up so close knit, my granny and my grandpa, we grew up like in a very big home, where my cousins were like my brothers and sisters.
Of course.
So I've got more than one brother and sister. Like my cousins are my brothers and sisters as well, and that's how we grew up, really. Yeah.
Indeed. Well, it's nice to get to know you. So you went to university here, and then you worked in radio, and you said you left radio because...
Yeah, so when this whole March and March thing started, there was a bit of tension with some politicians feeling like they were being disturbed in their space. And yeah, that's how I got fired, which I was fine with.
When was this? Last year, you said?
Last year, yeah.
So the March and March had started since last year?
Yeah.
How did it come together?
Well, what can I say? March and March started from my activism. Like I said, I've been on radio for a long time. I used to get a lot of complaints from people, various issues that had to do with people committing crimes, running away, being identified, police getting involved. But the most prolific moment for me, I can say, was when Like I used to have like very weird dreams about children going missing. So there was a lot of children going missing last year, and most of them were never ever found, while some others were caught with people trying to cross the border. And that's how really this thing started like affecting me. And you know, I used to wake up with these vivid dreams of children being in containers and being shipped out of the country. And you know, there was a voice that said to me, you know what, if you don't do anything about it, it's going to be your child that's next. And that's how Much and Much started. But more than anything, the push factor also came when last year about 25 children died from spaza shop food that they had consumed.
Spaza shops are the local shops.
Yes,
where
tuck shops,
yes, yes.
And you know, we waited for our government to do something about it. And
So
we were
children died from the
of
food.
them.
25 of them
Yeah.
from the food they consumed.
Yes.
In which area? Which area was
Different
the shop?
areas. It was Johannesburg though mostly, but it was a series of.
So the same thing. So 25 children died from different areas. Eating the same thing, or
different types of food from those tuck shops. So when we waited for the president to give us like, you know, a prolific presidential response to the crisis, all he said is that the spaza shops must be registered, which caused a lot of anger, of course, amongst the people.
this was last year, of
This was
course.
last year, just before the march started. I think it was somewhere in January when we said, you know what, this is it. You know, this man is not taking this issue seriously. And we had our first march, and it was in March. That's why we called it March in March at the time. And that's when we took to the streets and we marched and had our first march. And afterwards, everyone was like, okay, what's next? And then we made it a continuation and called it March and March until we win, because we do feel like we're in a fight for survival as South Africans in our own country.
Did the Ministry of Health respond at all? Did they
No.
respond?
No, it was
There was
actually-
no.
Like I said, there's never been any justice. The only thing the president said was that these spaza shops must be registered.
And the police didn't respond either?
They
And the
did-
shops remained open?
They remained open.
Were they able to identify the
They
particular
did say
shops?
there was some. No, they did discover what the substance is that was found in all of these foods, and it was some foreign substance that was from outside of South Africa that they say was found in all of these foods.
So these were imported foods?
Yeah.
Right.
And the spaza shops are not run by South Africans. They're run by Somalians and Ethiopians.
Do you think it would have mattered? Because they're imported foods, do you think if it was run by South Africans, that would make a difference?
The difference is in that South African shops, they buy proper products that are regulated, that are SAB approved, that go through the right standards. The issue with Somalians and Ethiopian shops is that they bring in counterfeit goods from the border, from these ships that come in with all these products, and some of them they buy expired goods from some of these big wholesalers and they sell them. If you can check the records, you'll see most of the goods that they sell are expired goods, and our government hasn't been responding effectively to our concerns as the citizens.
So these containers come in and it goes to customs and they get cleared by customs. Did any complaints go to customs?
So unfortunately, that's not how it works in South Africa.
Right, how does it work?
In
Tell
South
us.
Africa, they come in through the ports, and in the ports there's one scanner machine that works. So unfortunately, the scanner machine cannot scan every single thing that comes in. So sometimes they scan certain items, they find things that are not supposed to be here, but unfortunately most of the time a lot of products come inland. So from the statistics, the last I saw, it was South Africa loses about 250 million rand a day from the illicit goods coming through from the harbors. So it's really something that we've also raised as a concern, because we don't understand how that can be normalized, because it means anything can come in from our harbors and from our borders, and it's going to go on as if it's normal.
So the people that run these borders, they are South Africans, I'm presuming, and have any of them been arrested?
No, not
Because it seems incredible that these shipments will come in. there has to be collaboration with officials.
I think that's why we're up in arms the way that we are, because I personally went to meet with the border management of the country, and the picture that they paint is quite glaring.
What did they say?
Of a serious crisis. Border management of South Africa is only 25% operational, which means 75% of this country is wide open for exploitation, for entry from anyone. And it's been going on for years. And the citizens have been letting it happen because we were not aware of how serious the crisis is until we started seeing really how serious the crisis is. So right now, border management, maybe you've seen that we had elections in 2024. Mm-hmm. And then the DA government came into power.
In collaboration with the ANC.
With the ANC. So we've got a GNU government now for the first time. So this entire time the government has been run by the ANC government. And the GNU now is blaming that on the previous system, which is run by the ANC. And that is where we find ourselves as citizens, where we're finding ourselves stuck with this problem because it was apparently created by the previous administration. And right now, I don't think the current one who just came in has an idea of how to solve the problem.
The current one being?
The DA minister.
Okay, the DA Minister, Home Affairs.
Yes.
I think that's Minister Silver.
Leon Schreiber.
Schreiber, right?
Yes.
Rather.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a clue, you say?
Well, from what they say they're fixing the problem, but they say they don't have enough money to solve the problem. I mean, the most basic of things, like if you're talking about a crisis of your borders, surely then you should have them locked in terms of safety, security, have more people at the borders, have tighter security measures, but there's none of that happening at the moment.
So if we go back to the genesis of what you're telling me, is that this March and March started as a direct response to tragic circumstances that involved children. You also mentioned about children being taken across the border.
Yeah.
Can you go into that a little bit more?
We've had if you can get the statistics, I'll try and get them for you. Thousands of children have been going missing in this country, never to be found again, you know. And we found that at one point there was a discovery of there being a trafficking ring being run from here in the country. And the response from the government is not a response from a government that cares about the people, you know. And I think that's why we find ourselves where we are, you know, where we're helpless, if I can put it that way. We're just totally and completely helpless, and the only people we can rely on is ourselves as the citizens.
From everything you've said to me, you've pointed directly at government's failure over and over and over again. Yet it's not the government that you're marching against. Why is that?
You see, I think that's where a lot of media people get it wrong. Because when you say we're not marching against government, I wouldn't understand what that means. Because with every single march, every single one that we've had, we've submitted memorandums to government. We've handed over, I think, over 20 memorandums. Every single march is to government. Because remember, when you're going to march in South Africa, you apply for a march. They're given a route with the police. You go to a particular place to hand over a memorandum. And that's why the police are present, which is why a lot of people have this idea that we must be arrested. And they can't arrest us because marching is our constitutional right. And they know that we're marching to the government. It's just unfortunate that when they paint a picture of what's going on in South Africa, they don't tell the truth. There's no South African who can march the streets and start running around looking for people. That's not how it works. When we march, we have a route, the police are aware, they come in numbers. Like if you were to come to our marches, there's dozens of police, you know, and they know, they're aware of where we're going. When we get there, we hand over a memorandum, they sign the memorandum, and they have to respond to the memorandum. Plenty of times the government doesn't respond to the memorandum, and that's why we continue to march.
But the rhetorics that come out, it's not government you must do, it's migrants must go, whether documented or undocumented. How then do you marry the two? Because that's clearly what everybody hears on social media. That's what we see at the marches.
Yeah, I think that's where people need to understand what is happening in South Africa. There's two things that are happening. There's marches and there's operations, right? Marches are just strictly marches. There's nothing else. Nothing happens with the march, and if something happens at a march, the police will always arrest someone because they're there.
But they haven't been arresting. I mean, there's been violence
Which
that have
violence?
happened. There's been several violence that have happened. There's been at least, I think it's 8 people who have been killed as a result of this rhetorics from the marches, some on social media, granted. I'm not saying definitely from you, but as a result of supporters of March and March.
No,
So,
let me explain something
go ahead,
to you
please.
so that you can understand. March and March is not the only organization that's fighting illegal immigration in the country. And March and March is not the only people that have an issue with illegal immigration in the country. You know, when we started March and March, we went to the government. We told them that there's a crisis that's going to happen in this country. I'm talking what we said as March and March. South Africans
Last year.
Yes, South Africans are fed up. And you are ignoring this concern. We're formalizing the structure so that we can deal with the government. That's why March and March exists. But let me give you an example of Muscle Bay, for example. Muscle Bay, we've never been to Muscle Bay. There's not a single member of March and March. But communities there, they decided to fight with each other, with foreigners, over issues that they've already had boiling under, tensions that have already existed. Let me tell you why that happens. You see, down here in Durban, there's a place called Point Road, and you can ask anyone about it. Those have become no-go areas for South Africans. We don't go to those places.
What happens in Point Road?
It's been taken over
By whom?
by Nigerians and other foreigners who have made South Africans not to be able to come into those areas.
Why not?
Because they've taken over. They've taken over buildings, they've taken over shops, they've taken over the entire neighborhood.
What, they bought it? When you
Most of
say
the
take
buildings,
over, did they buy it or
No,
are they
some of
renting
the buildings
it?
are hijacked. It's like in Hillbrow in Johannesburg. It's like in Sunnyside in Pretoria. It's like there's so many. All of these places have been mushrooming up all throughout the country.
And who owns those buildings originally?
Most of them have been hijacked.
No, but who owns them? Who do they
So
belong
what
to
happens
originally?
is, some of those buildings are municipalities, and of course they can only do this with
Right,
the help
they're
of
government
South Africans.
buildings,
Yes.
local government buildings.
So this can only be done with the help of a South African at a municipal office, right? Who has details of what buildings are there, which buildings are vacant, etc. They sell this information, right? People come into the building, it's empty, they start taking over the building. Can be a house, they do the same thing. They come into a house, the owner is living overseas, although I've got plenty of cases of people with that problem.
The owners are living overseas, and why are they not doing anything about
They
somebody's
don't know.
squatter?
So remember, South African law doesn't allow you to just evict someone. This is how they use the law to their favor. So once I come into your house, right, the law protects me if I don't have anywhere else to go.
So there's no legal redress. There's no way to go to court.
You can
even
go to
if it's
court.
going to take a while.
You can go to court, but I have to provide you sometimes with a place to stay before I can evict you from the house.
Right, so you have to replace a squatter. So what you're saying is they're squatting in these properties, and even if the owner comes back, some of the owners you said are abroad.
Yeah.
So even when the owner comes back and says, I want my
house
property
back.
back, if they go to court, if they win, they then have to provide an alternative. Is that the law?
Yes.
Otherwise they can't be evicted
Yes.
unless there's an alternative.
So I'm just trying to paint a picture for you how difficult it is for South Africans to go through these processes. So it's only now.
So
that
what are
the
they doing with those buildings?
Because so in the building, I'll share with you some videos so you can see of what they've done to some buildings. So it's people who are like an organized syndicate. It's not just ordinary you who comes from Nigeria who comes and says, hey, I'm going to take over a building. You wouldn't know that. So it's people who've got this information who are making millions out of it. Once they get into the building, they start rigging electricity. So they find ways of getting electricity into the building without paying. They do the same with municipal water. And then inside the building, there's about, in a 2-room house, they live 4 people at a time, and all these people are paying rent to one person. Sometimes they'll build other buildings inside a building so that there's more space for people to rent, and that's how they maximize profits. So one of the celebrities who passed away this year was DJ Waris.
Yes.
And his job was to reclaim hijacked buildings. And he had been dealing with them. And
who gave him the job?
So he's a security company.
Right,
yeah.
right.
So as a security company, you've got a right to protect people who ask for that protection.
Right.
So he was basically reclaiming some of these buildings for the owners. And that's why they killed him. Because it's a lucrative business. People make millions
Has
out
that
of
been
it.
proven? Because I do
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, definitely.
I do remember
It's
the
been
case of
proven
his
that,
death.
that's the reason why. Because, I mean, he was getting threats to that effect anyways.
Was he making a headway? Was he able?
No, this building he had reclaimed for the owner, and he was managing it. So I believe that's right now that's where the case is headed.
Which area was that building
It's
in?
in Johannesburg.
Is in Joburg.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it in one of those areas that you
Yeah.
say is occupied
Yes.
by Nigerians or other migrants?
Well, like I said, there's 2 issues here, right? And there's Nigerians who will be the syndicate, who run the syndicate.
Yeah.
But the people living in the building aren't necessarily Nigerians. Because remember, some of these people are people who don't have documents to get a proper lease for a house. They'll be Zimbabweans. That's why we've got a whole host of Malawians sitting out there that people are asking, where did these people come from? Because they didn't have an idea that there's so many people who are undocumented living in the country, because they're living in these buildings or even informal settlements sometimes.
So when we talk about syndicates, you will agree that syndicates are powerful people.
Yes.
And they tend to be in collaboration with the
powerful
authority.
people, yes.
And these are people, if they're in collaboration with the authority, then they have documents. Therefore, they are the ones taking advantage.
Not really. So in South Africa, we've got a refugee and asylum seeker system.
Yes.
Which is what a lot of people use to their advantage. So in South Africa, people, once they come into the country, probably on a visa, if they're outside of the SADC region, they come in with a visa. But if they're coming from the SADC region, you just need a passport. Then you can stamp it and come into the country. Some of them don't even need a stamp. They come at the border, they say they're refugees and asylum seekers, and they have no choice but to let them in, because the law of the country says you have to let someone in if they say they're a refugee and asylum seeker.
Well, South Africa is signed on to the Refugee Convention, yes.
So that, but we're different. So in other countries, the refugee and asylum seeker process is done at the border. In our country, it's not that way. The person has to come inland to look for a Home Affairs department to do an application, which is what they're trying to change now, to make the application at the border. So that's why a lot of people are allowed sometimes to just come into the country, because they claim they're refugees, and then sometimes they never apply, or sometimes they do apply and they get rejected and they continue to stay, or they reapply. So we've got a whole host of people who have come into the country, claimed to be refugees or asylum seekers. Some of them didn't even claim to be refugees and asylum seekers, they just came into the country. Others are on visas or passports, and then it expires, and then they continue to stay in the country.
Let's go back to these syndicates, because, and I'll tell you why. Again, we have to go back to the fact that syndicates are powerful.
Yes.
Syndicates are in collaboration with very powerful people, etc. So it is well known that those who are part of a syndicate, at the very least, those at the top of the syndicate, will be documented. They have access to somebody to get them a passport, to give them the documents. Otherwise, breaking the law wouldn't be as easy for them. Being a kingpin of an area wouldn't be as easy for them. You spoke of the undocumented immigrants that then live in these buildings. First and foremost, may I ask, how do you know they are undocumented? How do you identify an undocumented person?
Look, I don't think it's for me to identify them, but I'm talking about things that are trends that have happened regularly in the country, and the reason why they would be undocumented. Remember, a person who is documented produces proper papers to be in the country and in a building and to be located. So most of them don't have those documents anyway, so they find a place that's easy for them to occupy, which is a place that doesn't require documentation. And remember, as you can see, like I told you, gave you an example of the Malawans that you just saw outside. Those people are 90% are undocumented, right? The other 10% are documented, but their documents are expired. So they are not supposed to be in the country anyways, because they come in with a passport or whatever. So this is something that we know has been happening. And we've even got TV shows on TV. I think that's the worst part about South Africa, is that we've got shows on TV that
I
talk about
actually
this.
saw one of those TV shows.
Yes, there's quite a number of them. There's one that talks about hijacked buildings.
On DSTV, I saw one.
Yes, there's one deals specifically with hijacked buildings. There's one that deals with drugs. There's one that deals with all of these illicit goods that are all over. So there's quite a number of these shows that are on television, and it's the same thing, it's the same trend. And when you talk to municipalities that are actually working, like the municipality in Tshwane, they will tell you every single place that you go to, these are the common trends. Because for a hijacked house, for example, the trend is you have to come into the house, you have to vandalize the house, make it look beyond repair, so that becomes the first thing that you do so that you can occupy the house. So that's why I'm saying, when you're saying that obviously it's people who have connections, 1000% agree with you, because these people who are running syndicates would never do that without the help of South Africans.
And they don't live there.
Yeah, that's why I even told you that even with the houses that they can hijack, that's information they get from South Africans. But the biggest and the most rotten apples we have here are politicians, which is why we keep saying that South Africa has two problems. We have very corrupt government on top of the immigration crisis, and that's why we find ourselves where we are today.
But what many will say to you is, your advocacy, at least your activism, March and March, has led to very high tensions, which is leading to anti-black violence. What would you say to that?
Well, I would say that's not true, because Operation Tutula has been in existence for a long time.
But it's still black on black.
No, I'm talking about March and March, remember?
Yes.
You wanting me to respond about March and March being the cause of anti-black, black on black.
I know Operation Tutula has been around for a long time.
That's what I'm trying to explain on March and March's side. So Operation Tutula has been there. There's been Abahambe, there's been Progressive Forces, there's been plenty of other organizations before March and March even existed. And there've even been political parties, the Patriotic Alliance, the Action SA, etc., etc. They've been actively advocating for this issue of illegal immigrants. Now, March and March, I feel we found ourselves here because obviously I think it was a timing issue, because now there's the GNU instead of the ANC. So maybe it's a bit more impactful because the government is not one government. There's more than one voice that can speak for the government. It's not just one government organization that's running the whole show, who's authoritarian and wants to treat people like they don't exist. And I do believe maybe it's just a matter of it being God's time. It was meant for us to be here and deal with it. And this, I don't remember a time where March and March was talking about race. The one thing March and March has always spoken about was documents. But I do feel like people who want to make this about a skin thing are being disingenuous. Because obviously if we're in Africa, majority of people that have come to South Africa are African, because it's one continent. So it's easier to come to South Africa from another African country.
But does anybody ask the white people in South Africa? Is it every white person in South Africa or every non-black person in South Africa that has their papers?
But you see,
Are we
that's,
to
that's,
presume
what, that's what you don't understand. Much and much is not going to go to areas where white people are and advocate for white people. We're not a voice for white people.
No, I'm not saying advocate.
I'm trying to make you understand how we end up it looking like black on black.
Right.
So remember, we are black people. We are in black people areas. We talk about things that affect black people. So tuck shops and these killings of children wasn't happening with white people. It was happening to us as black people, right? So when we advocate for those children that have passed away, we don't care whether it's being done by pink, orange, or green people. We care about the source of the problem. So if the source of the problem is Pakistanis, Somalians, Ethiopians, and whatever, that's who we're going to deal with. Right now, we go to these factories that are exploiting people, that are working overnight and doing that. Those are Chinese. We still don't say, oh, no, you're Chinese. We're not
Have you been
deal.
to Chinese factories?
Several times. Several times. I can even show you pictures of myself going to Chinese shops with the police.
Please share them with me when
I'll show you now.
Yeah.
So we go there with the police. We say, like, okay, these people are undocumented. We've dealt with plenty of Pakistanis, Somalians who don't have documents. It's not an issue of just black people and us fighting with black people as some people like to perpetuate. It's absolutely not. Like I keep saying, this issue is not an issue of skin color. It's an issue of documents.
But it's black people that are mostly being affected, Jacinta.
Well, that's because it's majority of them that are
ourselves.
here undocumented. There's nothing we can do about that.
But nobody's documenting, nobody's releasing any. In fact, as you rightly said, if there is no data for all the black people coming in, surely then there can't be any data, or at least accurate data for all the white people coming in.
But you see, that's where you keep
even
missing,
all the Chinese.
But that's why you keep missing my point. I'm repeating the point. You see here, we are in Chinese shops. That's me. You can see me personally dealing there with Chinese and Pakistanis and Somalians. I look for more of them.
I'm waiting
there,
for it to download.
and I'll show you. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not a skin color thing. It's a are you documented thing. And the reason there's more black people who are undocumented is because more of them are coming in undocumented. You understand? And as you can see, those Malawians that are over there, they can't afford to live here. Do you understand? So where are they going to live? They're going to live in those poor communities where there's poor black people. So they're the ones that are going to be complaining about them being getting what they need. Because remember, when those Malawians are going to hospital, I'm talking about those particular ones because
the ones outside,
they go to hospitals where there's other black people. So who ends up not having medication, which is something we've been suffering from all along now. There's not enough medication. There's not enough beds. There is not enough space for people to go. So you can't make it seem as if this is a race thing. It's a struggle for resources, which is what I always say. And South Africa does not have enough resources for South Africans. Then comes Malawians who are having problems with their own governments. We understand they're poor, they're sad, and all of that. But now, it's not white people that are going to be suffering when they don't have beds in hospitals. White people are fine. They don't have to deal with them. They're the ones that probably even keep them and treat them like slaves and make them work 10 hours or 15 hours a day and pay them 100 rand. You know, white people are the ones that are benefiting from those Malawians. But look at where they are now, displaced, because they don't have money to go home. Who is not paying them the money? The people that are employing them. So this is exactly what we're saying, that we cannot have a system that glorifies modern day slavery just because we're saying it's black people. It can't be. Because remember, those same white people that you guys are saying we must fight against are the same white people. They come here and they worship and they treat like gods while we're trying to fight them for a minimum wage. How do you think we're going to get the minimum wage if they are the ones going to white people and replacing South Africans as the modern day slaves? It's not going to work. So I feel like it's a one-sided thing where you're thinking that we're fighting you because you're black. But no, you're the one setting us back as South Africans because we're black. Because if you're black and you're coming to go and compete with white people then, so that we can see that you're not fighting with other poor black people. Go and compete with white people. Why not?
In that case, I have to ask, how many black people actually, I'm talking about South Africans, educated South Africans, how many of them actually compete with white people for high-paying jobs, for highly skilled jobs, for professional jobs. How many of them?
You see, the problem.
I'm just going by what you're saying.
No, I'm
right?
hearing, but that's a different conversation altogether.
Why is it?
Because these are two different classes that you're comparing.
Okay.
I'm comparing a class of poor people, and you're comparing a middle class of black people.
No, but you're saying
no,
that.
I'm going to
okay.
go there with the black people who are middle class. Now, the same middle class that you're complaining about are now the same people who are part of March and March. And you know why that is?
Why?
Because South Africans who are hiring are not following labor laws. And what they're doing is we've got a host of unemployed teachers, a host of unemployed doctors, a host of unemployed TVET lecturers.
Why is that?
Because the law of the country says that. Because a lot of people, I see them saying that South Africans are lazy, they just want to remove people and remove. That's not what we're saying. We're saying the country has laws, right? And if the law of the country says, before I hire you as a Nigerian, I have to make sure that there's no other South African that is qualified for the job.
Is that the law?
Right? That's the law. That's what the law says. I can send it to you just to verify. Right? That is what the current law of the country says. Currently, that is not being followed. Because in universities, in hospitals, in schools where they're supposed to be lecturers, in formal structures with municipalities and other places, South Africans are not getting jobs because they're given to other foreign nationals without following due process. Currently, even in parliament, there's a huge uproar that you must see, that the parliamentarians have asked how many foreign nationals are in our universities. Because now what happens is you come in, right, as a Nigerian, you get a good position at a university.
Oh, you mean as a
Yes,
lecturer?
as a lecturer
as a professor.
or something.
Yeah, professor.
I think a lecturer is like a senior position, right? As
a professor,
head of department.
A professor, head
yes.
of department, yes.
So you head that department, and naturally, the next thing you start doing is recruiting other Nigerians to come to the university that you're working at without following due process. So this is now an inquiry in Parliament currently going on, because a lot of universities are hiring lecturers who are foreign nationals in a way that they shouldn't be hiring them, because they are South Africans who are qualified. So I want you to understand that there's a fight here at the lower level of things. There's a fight even in the middle class, where South Africans are saying now we're being wiped out of our own jobs, for our own job securities. We're not saying we're not qualified. We're not saying give us those jobs because we're South Africans but give us those jobs because we qualify. You can't go to another country and look for someone
So are you
who
saying
can do
that
another job.
there's a practice of discrimination against South Africans, or is it that the jobs? Because I find why
it's so difficult for you to believe. And I understand why a lot of people look at South Africans as crazy people.
No, I don't actually.
No, trust me, I understand.
I actually don't.
I'm saying I understand if you look at us as crazy
Well,
people.
I actually don't.
Because it's crazy that we're in this situation. It's actually ridiculous that we have to fight for something that's in the law and is supposed to be followed as per the law, but is not.
But what I find hard to understand is that you are saying that if a head of department, an HOD, is hired for a university, anyway, and they tend to hire a foreigner, that's what you're saying, right? And if they hire a foreigner, a non-South African, that non-South African then hires non-South Africans, perhaps from the same country or otherwise.
Zimbabweans do that a lot.
Right. So, but here's the thing though. The head of department is not the head of the university.
They are, some of them. I'm trying to show you.
They're head of department.
Remember, you can be head of department, but you also can be have another Zimbabwean in HR. I'm trying to find you this thing so that you don't think I'm creating stories and whatnot.
It's not, I don't think it's that people are looking at South Africans as crazy. Certainly, I think you will find that most people would understand if, look, you are saying to government, we have a crisis in our hands of, our porous borders, which are not being manned. We are demanding that it's manned. We are also demanding for stricter immigration laws. We are demanding for stricter laws against, for clearance at the borders.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to argue with you on that, Jacinta. I think what most people, whether you accept it or not, is that the rhetorics from your group, whether it's, I know there's Ayahamba, which I think it means get out, is that correct? Abahambe.
Abahambe, yeah.
Yeah, it means get out, right?
Yeah,
or something like that,
yeah.
yes. I know of those.
But get out.
What does
get
it
out
mean?
Sounds bad.
Pardon?
They must go.
They must go. There
Yeah.
you go. Well, pretty much the same. It's
Get
not.
out sounds worse.
Okay. Well, no, they must go. Get out. I know of that, but those groups are not the most prominent.
Yeah,
those groups
that's what I'm saying.
are not the ones
why we're the
saying
most prominent.
30th of June.
You know what? You know why they're not the most prominent?
Why is that?
Because they've never pulled marches with the crowd that we have.
Which is why you have to accept that March has to take responsibility
for what?
For the tensions.
No, we're not.
For the anti-migrant. Because
no, we're not going to take responsibility.
If March was saying, look, we are fighting for everybody in the country because we want this country, we want government to do better by us.
Yeah.
We want that to start by government securing our porous borders. We want that to start by government putting out stricter immigration. We want that to start by government having faster, quicker, more, clearance with integrity for those who come in with refugee. In fact, even if you were demanding, we want government to review the refugee laws in South Africa. I don't think anybody would have a problem with that at all. But what is and cannot be denied is, much as you say, those people outside, the Malawians who were outside, I think is Durban driving. That's right, old Durban driving by the sea. Much as you say, look, all of those people are undocumented, all of those people were living in these houses which are run by cartels, etc. Much as you say that, at the fundamental of it is humanity. And that is the question. Where does March and March draw the line between government's failures and humanity?
So
given that,
can I just find out from you, in terms of humanity, what role do you think we played in them being at the drive-in, and you feel like it was our fault to create a humanitarian crisis? If I can just get clarity.
Okay, like I've just explained to you, all those other groups you mentioned, they're much smaller. March and March are the forefront.
No, it's fine. Let's say
are the
we're
face
at the
of
forefront.
that.
I'm just trying to get...
And the rhetorics that come out is anti-migrant. You are not saying that when you are not saying
let me tell you something.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. When I started March and March, when I started March and March, even our first march was directed to the government. There was no foreign employment involvement at all. None whatsoever. You
didn't mention anything about migrants, foreigners?
Of course we talk about that because we're talking about illegal immigration.
Yes, but you were directing it.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
What was the chant at that time? What was the...
No, it's always
your
been...
slogan?
No, it's always been Abahambe. That's not going to change.
Right, it's got to...
Because obviously Abahambe, because they're in the country legally. Because you can't tell me that. I always say, you can't tell me if you come into a country legally, you're innocent. Of course you're not. You know what I mean?
Why not?
Why are you innocent? You came into my country legally.
Okay, so...
What makes you innocent?
Let's talk about that. Okay, there are people, when people are refugees and they come into the country...
That's not, I don't...
What is that?
You see, that's why I avoid... I don't like having this conversation about
No, let's have it. We're being honest.
You know why? Because every time we talk about this, the first position that people assume a migrant is a victim.
Okay,
Because if you're saying to me that they're a refugee, you're automatically giving them a victim label, which is not fair.
But do you not believe that there are refugees?
Not everyone is here.
No, not everyone is a refugee, I agree.
Exactly my point. Majority of the people we have here are not refugees. They're not.
But there are 7,000
Those people
refugees.
are economic migrants. They are not refugees.
How do you know? Have you seen
because
their papers?
Because they were working.
But
They
have you
don't
seen
have
their papers?
papers.
But there are 7,000. They arguably.
So wait.
I'm just saying.
So wait.
Arguably.
You're saying to me, wait. I
I
want to find out what makes you believe they are refugees. Maybe if you can define that for me.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
From looking at them, you decided they're refugees.
No, not from looking. I'm just saying to you, the groups who support them, okay, will tell you that these are documented refugees.
Yeah,
Permit me to finish.
Yeah,
to the
90,
point.
I'm talking about factually here. Let's talk facts. 90% of those people are undocumented, right? Most of them, majority of them, say they went there because they needed to get home before the deadline. That's what they said.
They want to
right?
go. Yes.
Yes, right? So I'm asking you, from that analysis and from those statistics,
from what they said,
what makes you give them the label of refugees? Like,
right.
why?
And this is what I'm saying to you. Let's separate it. You said those who want to go, those people that have said, we've come here because we want to leave before the 30th.
Yes.
Because obviously people are petrified. They're afraid. And nobody knows what's going to happen. We'll talk about that later. I interviewed documented migrants yesterday. Right?
From where?
From Nigeria. I have them, I interview them, and they say they're documented, but they want to go because one, they're afraid. There was a man who had been here for 30 years. Okay, he said, I've seen this happen many times. Okay, I've seen the violence, but this one is different. He said, I go into a shop and I'm attacked. I go into this and this. His wife is there, his child is there. He said, yes, I'm documented. I've been here for 30 years. I had a business. So what I'm saying to you is, permit me, it's not just those who are undocumented
So you see,
who want to leave.
That's why I want to talk to you.
I know.
That's why I wanted you to tell me.
Yeah, I'm going there.
I want
you
to tell me when you say they're documented. I want to go
I'm
into
just saying.
what you're saying.
So
what
it's not
exactly
just those.
do you mean they're documented?
Well, they say they have their
Documented
papers.
You don't know that, right?
Well, I'm just saying, but neither
Exactly.
do you. You don't know the papers for all those people.
You see, that's why I want you and I to be, to try and understand each
we
other here,
are.
right? Because I'm living here, and I can grab the next South African when we come out of here, right? And ask them from the interviews that we have seen of Nigerians once they land in South Africa, how many of them do you believe are telling the truth?
So what? Nigerians are liars because that's your experience?
Not just Nigerians, no, not just Nigerians. All the people once they leave South Africa.
Once they leave?
Yes, I mean when they land in their countries.
Okay,
from what they're explaining.
Once they evacuated,
Once they start describing what was happening in South Africa. It's stories that we know are not true. Because someone will say, let me give you an example. I'm giving you an example. I'm taking you there. Someone will say, I came here on a visa. There's a man who said he was here for I think 20 years. He came here. He was, he said he had, he was an asylum seeker. Then he said his documents expired, but he was running a business. Right? Now, you know those stories don't come together, right? Because you can't have a document expire, then you're an asylum seeker. Because you must decide, Pele, if you're coming in as a visitor, you're a visitor. Then you're an asylum seeker, you're an asylum seeker. When you seek asylum, it's the first thing that you do. You seek asylum, because that's what you're here for. You can't seek asylum after a document expires. And then on top of that, you open a business. What documents are you using to open a business? These are things that you see,
right?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
But what if they had opened the business whilst they had the papers?
That's what I'm saying. You can't open a business with those documents. There are certain documents that allow you to open a business. There are others that don't. You can't open a business with an application for an asylum seeker.
I see.
You can't.
But you can open one once you're cleared as an asylum seeker.
There's in the country, there's 250,000 only refugees and asylum seekers
documented.
In the entire system.
250,000 documented.
In the entire system. So as someone who's been on the ground doing work, as you can see in the video I showed you, we literally go with the police and Home Affairs. Because we're allowed, we've got a right to do that. With the police and Home Affairs. To see these documents. What they started doing now is they take a paper. Remember, an asylum seeker document is a piece of paper.
Right,
it's nothing special. They photocopy, they stick all of them, they have the same documents. Majority of them don't have real documents. I don't know if you've seen, there's a report by the SIU that was saying exactly that. That some of them are even buying these documents fraudulently. Nigerians come here as students, majority. So I'm just trying to paint a picture of how they come in as student visas. So there's a young boy who passed away. I don't know how he passed away not too long ago. So Nigerians were trying to get money for him to go home. Or that boy who tragically passed away as an Uber driver. So he came in the country.
Well, he was killed. He didn't pass away.
No, he was killed.
He was killed.
No, it was a crime issue.
It was a crime. Yes, yeah.
Let's
no, I'm just saying he was killed. No, that was crime.
Killed because
no, it was crime.
It was
by
a crime
somebody
issue.
in the car, a driver,
absolutely.
A passenger that he
absolutely.
took. Yes,
and that was very tragic. Nobody advocates for that. But when they found out his documents, he came as a student. He never went to study a day in his life, and when he was now trying to work. He was working using someone else's identity. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm trying to paint a picture of how people come into the country. So there's I think they said about 4,000 student visas had been issued. And all of these people are not students.
To Nigerians in how many years?
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know the
you
years.
just said 4,000.
I'll send you the report
Please
so that you can see it
that
for
would
yourself.
be great.
I'll
Thank
send you the report so you can see it for yourself. But what I'm trying to say too is that the problem is there's too many issues happening at the same time in the country.
Certainly.
Do you understand?
Certainly.
So we've got an issue of illegal immigration, just illegal immigrants just walking in at the border because the border is nonsense, right?
Yeah.
Then there's an increase of people who are buying documents, which of course we can't blame people, because if there's corrupt people selling documents, yes, they're corrupt. Both of them are corrupt, the buyer and the seller, right? And then on top of that, there's people who are photocopying documents, carrying them around, but they're not real documents. Even today, they caught another one who was trying to come and get a smart ID in Ndwedwe, just down the road, because there's so many fake documents in the country. I hope you understand that.
Absolutely.
And then on top of that, let me add to the problem so you have a picture. There's only 800 immigration officers in the entire country for a population of God knows how many people, because the one that was there from Stats SA says 65 million people, right? That was 2022, right? They said 65 million people, right, at the time. We don't know how many people are in the country, but there's an estimate of illegal immigrants, anything from 15 to 30 million. These are separate studies that are done separately, right, from service provider, whatever, right? So can you imagine if there's 65 million people and then a minimum of 15 million illegal immigrants? That's roughly 18 if you're taking the minimum and not the maximum of 30 million. 80 million people with 800 immigration officers. Now that means one immigration officer is for 1 million people, which is one of the things we're trying to solve with the government. We're saying you can't say you're solving an immigration crisis with only 800 officials. That's why we go to the police, because the police as well don't even know the laws when it comes to immigration. Some of them, we had to tell them what the law says when it's immigration. Some of them, you'd come to a workplace and they'd ask for documents. Someone would present a passport. We say police, but a passport is not a working document. A passport is for coming into the country as a visitor or whatever. In order to work in South Africa, you need a work permit.
Of course.
Police didn't know that. Right.
But isn't that, again, that's your government?
No, I don't deny that. I don't deny it, but remember, this is the problem in South Africa. South Africans, by right, have a right to a citizen's arrest, which is why the police cannot refuse if I take them and say, let's go and arrest someone.
Right.
Right? Police cannot refuse if we come as a security company and arrest someone. So if we, as much go with the security company and arrest people, it's within our rights. We're not breaking any laws. That's the problem.
But what is happening is a program. What is happening is...
No, I don't want you to think that we're doing that. We don't do that. We always have police. Always. You must know that. Wherever we are, we go with police. The unfortunate part, though, is that the citizens are the ones that are living with these people. And I'm telling you, the biggest problem is not much. You're looking at the wrong people. The biggest problem is the communities that are staying with people who are illegal immigrants or foreigners. That's where your biggest problem is.
Okay, that might be granted, but arguably the advocacy, the activism, the rhetorics of March and March does encourage them, because
To do what?
Well, like you said, the communities are taking action into their own hands. That's what you're saying, right?
But I'm saying,
but if you know,
we don't take action into our.
no,
That's
not
what
you. I'm
But you
saying
see,
the communities
that's
that's
I'm
what
saying.
you said.
You see, every time someone says that March and March is to blame for rhetoric, that's the part I don't get. You can't blame us for violence.
So
First
do you
of all,
think
let me
March
give
and
you an
March is
example.
innocent of all the
I'm just
accusations?
giving you an example. If you talk about violence, right? March and March has never, from day one, advocated for violence. We've always advocated for making our voice heard and taking to the streets, and not just going there, going to boardrooms. We go to boardrooms, we meet with governments, we sit in meetings, we sit with, there's not a single department we haven't gone to meet. We sit in the crime fighting council of the province, because we know that this issue is a crime issue. And that's exactly what we're trying to point out. We're trying to highlight the problem that we've had in this country for years and years and years. And every time that it's raised, it's called xenophobia. And we said this even from day one last year. We said that we know for a fact that the minute we start raising this issue, it's going to be called xenophobia. And from day one, that's what we said. Because nobody wants to listen to what we're saying. And I think that's where South Africans get frustrated. You know, when every time we're trying to raise our concerns, you don't listen to what we're saying. You choose to make us the bad people about the problems that we're experiencing in our country because of people we don't know. You understand? You wouldn't be okay in your own house with people just walking and you don't know them, you don't know who they are, you don't know how they're staying, they start taking things from your house. Of course you wouldn't feel comfortable. This is exactly what we're complaining about. We're saying, can you listen to what we're saying?
Okay, so why then doesn't March and March come out? You say March and March has never advocated for violence. Why then doesn't March and March come out and say and actually condemn the violence?
How many times?
No, go into these communities, like you said. You know these communities. You know the community leaders.
I just had a march now. A march with thousands of people. Thousands. I said the same thing. I was on TV saying the same thing. You see this video here with 1.8 million people? That's one. I'm saying the same thing.
The first one?
Yes. It's got 1.8 million views. I'm reiterating.
What's the volume?
I'm reiterating exactly that. It's in Zulu. And I'm doing it in Zulu on purpose. I'm doing it in Zulu on purpose.
So that you can...
So that people can understand what the message is.
So what's 30th of June about?
So the 30th of June was not announced by us, right? There's March and March, there's Pagalum Tarat, there's Ngizwe Mkhulu, right? We're three different entities.
Three different groups.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Pagalum Tarat has his own thing where he'll march. You'll see him sometimes. We're not there when he marches. We're not there.
Which one is that? The guy that's wearing the Zulu, wears the Zulu outfit,
yes.
right?
Yes.
He's a different group.
He's got his own organization.
So he's not part of March and March?
No.
Right. He's called?
Insizwa Nomtsizwa.
Insizwa.
Yes.
Right.
Ngizwe is a media personality who has always been in the media, who's had a following even before March and March,
right,
or the issue of illegal immigration. He's always been a public figure. He's always been a celebrity with followers, etc. Right? Now, Pagalum Tarati is his own person, right? But we march together when we're marching together. I don't know if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Right?
I hear that.
But he can do his own thing, Kwanongoma, some way.
But these are the people, like you said, this man is speaking in violent rhetoric. They say, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. So if March and March is not for violence, why then are you marching?
Let me repeat.
No, I'm just saying, why are you marching with them?
There's no way, I can't refuse anyone to march with March and March. Anyone and everyone has a right to march and say what they...
But knowing full well that, like you said, March and March is not...
If you're saying he's advocating for... I've never seen him advocating for violence.
These are people that carry weapons when they're marching, right?
Do you want to see a Zulu wedding?
Well, no, it's not that.
I'm trying to prove to you.
No, I understand.
I'm trying to say
I
to you.
do get that.
I'm trying to say
but
to you.
a Zulu wedding is not with chants on the streets of South Africa.
I'm saying to you.
With threats going to the vulnerable.
But who goes to the vulnerable? Because the march is to the streets. The march is to the streets. The march is going to the government. Every single march we have has a memorandum. I'm repeating again.
But where's your government office?
It's wherever we're going.
No. As in, where is the president's office?
We've been to the president's office, the
Right.
union buildings.
Right. So why is the march not every time?
But
No,
we can't
in
listen
those
to what,
offices.
listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. In South Africa, there's 3 spheres of government, right?
The
there's
local
national
government,
there's
provincial
provincial
government,
there's
and the-
local
yes,
government.
absolutely.
So it depends on where the march is going, right? So national marches, that's when you'll see the 3 of us together, right? That's why you will see us going to union buildings together. That's why you will see us going to the provincial government in Gauteng when we're together. That's why you'll see us here and having the mayor or the premier come and collect a memorandum here in Durban, etc., etc. You know what I'm saying? So that's a national march. But when they do their provincial marches and whatever, they go to municipalities. They go to the provincial departments of Home Affairs to come. Because remember, sometimes we don't go to Home Affairs. Home Affairs will come to where the march is. Do you understand?
I'm getting
Yes.
this.
So every single time we march, we hand a memorandum over to Home Affairs. But it doesn't mean we're going to
Have you
Home
met
Affairs.
with him? Have you sat
Who?
with the Minister of Home Affairs?
Several times. I sit, if I can show
And what
you.
has he said? What has he said?
You know, the Minister of Home Affairs, we don't sit with him directly. We sit with
Which
his
is the
office.
Democratic
We sit-
Alliance
yes, we
Party.
sit with with the DG. We speak all the time. The people who are the role players in that department.
But
We-
not the minister himself.
Yeah, the minister hasn't made time with us, but we went and spoken to the DA to present our case, to state the reasons. We've gone to the BMA. We've gone to the when you are asking for inputs on
Yes.
on changes to the white paper.
Yes.
We've done that. We've gone to Parliament. I've been to Parliament to make a presentation on this. The minister was there as well. So that's what I'm trying to say, that we're not just marching the streets as March and March. I want you to understand that. That's why I'm trying to help you to differentiate between these 3 people. There's March and March, which does their own thing. There's Pagalum Tati, does his own thing. There's Ngizwe, does his own thing. But they are not the only ones as well. There's other organizations. There's Progressive Forces, there's Abahambe, there's Operation Tutula, there's this and that, there's Truck Drivers Associations, there's LACO, etc. Right?
let
That's
me
why I
just
want
say
you to
this.
understand this, right? So LACO will be the one that deals with the labor inspectors, making sure that South Africans are hired, etc., etc. That's how it works.
Okay.
It's just that March and March just gained prominence because for some reason, you know, in Ghana they started trending that Victoria had told this Ghanaian that he must go home. People said that's Jacinta of March and March. It was Victoria. I was like, okay, it doesn't matter because the message is the same anyway, you know. Somehow, gracefully, I'm not going to run away from that. March and March takes the blame for it all.
Let's talk about education. Unemployment.
Yeah.
In South Africa.
Yeah.
South Africa still has one of the world's worst, highest rate of unemployment, especially with young people.
Yeah, youth unemployment. Yeah.
Youth unemployment.
Yeah.
Isn't that a bigger crisis?
But what makes you think we're not solving
I'm
the
asking.
crisis?
Have you solved it?
Yeah,
How have
a
you
lot of
solved
people
it?
are getting employed.
How
I'll
many?
send you dozens. I mean, I might not have the correct number with me right now, but we've got tons of people who are getting employed who weren't employed before, which is exactly what we were saying, because we're dealing.
They were not employed before.
Yeah.
Is it that they're replacing the migrants that have been chased out?
Let me explain to you. It's what I was saying to you in the beginning, that we live in a capitalist country.
Of course.
Where capitalists are trying to maximize profits by all means. So of course, if it means banking labor laws, they're going to do that. So a lot of them have been trading in proper labor practices where they have to follow due process and pay a minimum wage for hiring people who are cheap labor. And this has been ongoing. There's even a
But
whole,
I've
there's a
South
whole
African
entire
youth
show on
associations
TV.
come out to say.
There's no youth association in
right.
South Africa.
So that's the other thing. But the labor unions are not supporting what you're doing.
We don't mind.
But
we don't mind.
but the labor unions are responsible for
They're not
labor
creating
numbers.
employment. The labor unions, some of them are aligned with political parties. So what do you think they're
But
going
some
to
would
do?
say that you're
They're not
aligned with the
going-
political
Which
party.
one?
I don't know. That's what some accuse you of.
Well, they can accuse me of something. If they can't prove it, then it's just an accusation. I mean, I've been accused of working for Israel. Do I care?
Do you?
I don't care. If anyone can prove that I work for Israel... then
No,
that's
I'm just
the-
asking, do you?
I'm saying there's no reason for me to work for Israel because Israel is a foreign country. Israel is exactly what I'm trying to fight against. Why would
so?
why would I want Israel to have infiltration in South Africa? It's exactly my problem with this country. We've got too much foreign infiltration in this country. Right now, I was saying the same thing, that Israelites and Palestinians are coming here to fight their religious war in South Africa. Why must we put up with that? Why? Like, which country in Africa must stand for a fight between two other countries that are not even South African? Does that make sense? Does that even make sense?
So let's go back to this unemployment. So you say you've employed.
I'm saying,
Roughly,
I'm not saying
you've been able to.
I'm saying yes.
Much and
number
much
of
have been
people,
able to
not
place.
much and much.
Okay.
A number of organizations
Okay.
that have, because like I gave an example, LACO is specifically dealing with the employment of South African young people. Others are. We've met, for example, with Uber, Take a Lot, etc. Personally, as much and much we've met with them. We've highlighted the importance of sticking to the laws of the country, and we've seen that some of them are abiding by that law, and we're happy with that. That's what we want.
But what about those businesses?
What about
Why
them?
is it that the spaza shops, as you said, they're run by migrants? They're not run by South Africans. Why is that?
Have you ever heard of a spaza shop mafias?
No. Tell us about them.
Yeah, so there's a new model now where Pakistanis, Somalians, Ethiopians, and Bangladeshis are killing people who are trying to open tuck shops. And they're killing each other sometimes. I think might have seen the recent killings of tuck shop owners in Johannesburg that are running these shops. They're fighting for territory in that area because somehow they believe that they must give each other territory in this country. So that's one of the things that
Yes,
we
but
have a problem.
that's a new thing.
It's not
These
a new
spaza
thing.
shops have been around
For years.
forever. I mean,
Yes.
they're local shops. That's what they are.
But do you remember what I told you when the conversation started? That
Sorry.
they are getting these products from the...
Yes, I understand that.
Do you understand that if they're getting that product that's expired or not in the same product, that the price is going to be cheaper? So they presented themselves as someone who's providing a cheaper quality. Then after the years go by, we realize that the standard is actually not the same.
But my
That's
question
one of the
is,
things that have caused for them
are
to
South
actually-
Africans entrepreneurs?
They are.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a community in Kwatem, I believe. They took out all the migrants. Those shops were run by South Africans all these years. We've always been, those families, those shops have taken people to school. They've made people entrepreneurs, lawyers. They've made them doctors. People who came from those, these were the shops that we grew up around. Kwantombela, Kwamhlongo, you know, that's how we grew up. We never had these foreign shops being owned by Somalians and Ethiopians before. This is something that's new to us. And that's why there's children that are dying now, because the standard is not the standard that it's supposed to be. And remember, these people are living inside these shops. They're eating, they're sleeping in the shops, they're bathing in the shops, which is not supposed to be done. That's exactly what we're complaining about.
Historically, all over the world, migrants, whether documented or undocumented, migrants are economic migrants. They go somewhere, they work their way up from the bottom, and then they end up getting to where they want to get to. Save up the money, do, like you said, low paid jobs, save up their money, open their shops, open their businesses, because by and large, they don't want to work for anybody.
Yeah.
Why is that such a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing. Nobody said that's a bad thing.
Well, what you're saying is
have a
because
problem-
they're not documented.
No, you don't understand
No,
what
you
I'm
have
saying.
a problem with the
No.
kind of food that
You're
they bring
not,
in.
You're not listening to what I'm saying.
Oh, forgive me. Go ahead.
We don't have a problem with migrants, right? We have a problem with unregulated migration, first of all.
Right,
Because it
so
has
that's the
opened
first
us
thing,
up
unregulated
with crime
migration, yes.
And people we don't know running.
Yes.
Even right now, there at that Malawian place, they
Yes.
caught a Malawian who had raped a girl who was also trying to run away and go back to Malawi, right? On top of that, I'm saying you cannot come into a country and then have something called the spaza shop mafia, for example, where you are saying the locals must be killed or terrorized them for opening business in their own country. Two, on top of that, you cannot provide us with substandard goods because you want to trade them for goods that are actually of good quality so that you can sell us a substandard product at a cheaper price while putting the lives of children and people in danger, because people end up dead and they are not getting any justice as we speak. Just last week, I think about 6 or 7 schools had children landing up in hospital after buying food from spaza shops. That's my point, is that migrants, they come into a country, they are regulated.
But can March and March sue the government for these things? Why don't you sue the government? If we had
money, we would sue them. If we had money, we'd sue them. You'd think taking the
But
government
Jacob Zuma's party, MK, marches with you as well, right?
So?
Your former president.
So?
Could he not fund that kind of legal case? Because it would be a landmark legal case.
The minute we take money from the MK, how much that's going to be a talk of the town. Then it's going to be something that it's not about. It's going to be about us fighting the current government and not fighting immigration. Because the propaganda that's already being spread is already ridiculous. So can you imagine if we were to take money from the MK to take the government to the... Just think about it. What would the headlines be saying?
How closely do you work with them, though, on the marches, as March and March?
I'm actually much closer with MK LACO. Well, they don't call themselves MK LACO. They call themselves LACO. With Action SA, with the Patriotic Alliance, who we've had a fallout with now, with Operation Tutula. And you know why? Because the very first ever March and March, those are the only organizations that supported us.
Okay, is that not the same MK? That's a separate MK to Jacob Zuma.
They're a labor
union.
Right. Right. But those are the people from the very first ever March and March 2025. They were there. So those are the people that I'm close with. Everyone else has come after. I mean, the IFP also came afterwards, and we're very close with the IFP as well. We sit with the Premier of the province, we discuss this problem, we try and solve it. He's also very worried about the state of the province and the state of the country, and rightfully he should. We all are. We all are worried about the state of this country. Unfortunately, every time we try and state our problem, nobody wants to hear it, because you want to make it seem as if South Africans are just like this bunch of crazy people who just like hate migrants.
I certainly don't. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here to. So
I'm just going to go back.
You know, your voice.
It's fine. I get that. I mean, it's not like.
I think there's one of the reasons why this interview was important is, like you rightly said, there's a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of things that are said about you. So it was important for me, certainly as a journalist, to have you. Look, even if we go at it, let me tell you,
I think I've lost faith in journalism. Personally, as a person, I don't think there's journalism, you know, in the world, actually, because there was a time when we were marching to union buildings. I'll just give you an example.
Please do.
Because I'm just trying to make you see just how bad things are. I mean, I've been in journalism. I'm not expecting you to come here and, like, you know, try and make me Mother Teresa of sort and just like speak nice things about, you know what I mean?
Nobody's a Mother Teresa.
That's not what I want. That's not what I want. But I'm saying, just don't say something I didn't say.
Which is why I'm giving you.
No, I get that. Yes. I mean, I get that. I'm just trying to paint a picture of journalism for you. So this particular march went to the union buildings, like I said, the president's
office.
Yes, basically. And we handed over memorandum, what. Now, when we were going there, people were singing and chanting, as you're saying, with sticks and what. Hello. And then when we got there, the story comes out, and it's an international news agents. And when the story comes out, they say, we woke up in the morning and decided to chase migrants on the streets. They said nothing about us going to the union buildings. They said nothing about us handing a memorandum to government. They said nothing about the government. Actually, they sent their deputy minister in the presidency to accept the memorandum, and she spoke. They said nothing about that. Absolutely nothing. There were stories there that were shared by people who were sharing their experiences. People who, from the tuck shop business, who were saying, I've been run out of my own tuck shop business. This and this is what happened. Not a single one of those stories made it. The only story that made it was that of black Zulu men holding sticks, chasing migrants down the streets. And mind you, nobody was being chased on that day. But I'm trying to tell you that I don't believe in journalism. I'm agreeing to this interview because I want people to decide
for themselves.
Absolutely. You know, I want you to be the one that says she's talking nonsense. You can write whatever you like on social media. But one thing I know about the truth is that it stands, you know. And I don't think for 32
So talking
years,
of truth,
I don't think for 32 years we could have stayed with migrants if we hated them, you know. I don't think South Africans are horrible people. I think we're one of the nicest people in the world, and that's why we have Ubuntu as our core. But eventually,
but the same
we'll
South
come
Africa,
to
South
the end.
Africa has been the greatest beneficiary of Pan-Africanism.
No, that's
So
not true. That's not
why
true.
is it not?
Because let me tell you something. Pan-Africanism, if you can calculate how many people left South Africa to go to other countries to stay there, it's at about 50,000 people.
What is that? Why is it measured in numbers?
It's measured
and
in
not
numbers.
in efforts.
No. I'm going there. I'm going there. South Africa currently has donated the most to healthcare in the entire Africa of all African countries.
What in to the
in
AU?
aid, yes, in aid.
In aid.
South Africa currently has hosted some of the most loose rules when it comes to migrants. In South Africa,
Yes, they do.
In South Africa, refugees and asylum seekers are practically citizens of this country, right?
But you know why that was?
So
that is because
Yes.
Africa came to the aid.
I don't deny that. Let me finish what I'm saying. Let me
go
finish
ahead.
what I'm saying, because I'm trying to go to the point where you
Where
feel
I'm
like
going, yes.
we haven't paid enough for that.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
But that's what I feel.
That's
like
not
you're
what I'm saying.
Because I'm saying, remember, my point is, I want you to hear what my point is. I'm saying for 32 years, we have returned the favor. That's my point. 32 years, we've returned the favor. We've sacrificed of ourselves so much. We've given up our cities. There are places we cannot go to that are owned predominantly by foreigners. We can't go there. We've given jobs. We've given our documents. People have been neutralized. They've been given refugee status, asylum seeker status, everything. But honestly, at some point, guys, you have to be fair. You have to be fair. Everyone cannot want to come here and we must keep quiet about it. Undocumented,
Absolutely not.
untraceable, committing crimes, doing all kinds of things. And every time we try to say something about it, you're not listening. You want to say xenophobia, Afrophobia, hate. That makes you like block out completely what we're trying to
The
say.
actual issues that you're trying
Because
to put
when we
across.
sit on Sundays and we watch Sizokuthola, I'm sure you've seen Sizokuthola.
Is that the one I said with
I
the
don't know
big
which
lady
one.
which goes to the
No, that's Zandi.
house.
That's the one.
Yeah,
That's the one
Zandi.
that goes where these employers are
The ones
hiring.
where they're living in the houses.
Yes,
that
no,
she
those are the
chases
ones that
them
are
out.
hiring illegal immigrants.
Right, yes.
So I'm saying to you, remember, we're still fighting the same white people that you're saying that oppressed us, right? We're still trying to get.
Well,
back.
this is what this was going to be
Yes,
my
that's where I'm
point, is
going.
that why are you not addressing, or maybe you are, tell me, the greatest issue in South Africa is the fact that apartheid, you still have economic apartheid.
But you see, that's what you're not listening to. And I answered this in the beginning.
No, you did.
I said it's difficult to fight white people currently because they are basically rendering us out of our own country using migrants. And you guys don't want to hear that. Because if a white person is now having a Zimbabwean as a garden boy, a Malawian who work 24 hours a day and they do everything, they worship them, they're at the feet, and then the South African says, but my minimum wage is 5,000 Rand a month. And you come as Sarah from wherever and you say, I'm going to take 2,000 Rand. Does that fight not set us back? Of course it does. Now we have to focus on the.
So, but why are those
But let me-
employers not being arrested?
That's what we're trying to do right now. Remember, South Africa has been going on this lawlessness all along. And that's why we came as much and much to say these are the laws. That's why we are strong as much and much, which I think is what people don't understand. Why maybe we're like because we come and we say, we point out this is what the law says. Since I started with you, that's the only thing I've been saying.
Absolutely.
That's the only thing I've been saying, because nothing that we want to do is outside of the law. That's why we don't advocate for people to be killed. We want Africans, and I'm saying this again, to fight their government the same way we are, because they owe us that. Africa is not going to thrive if we all hide behind going to other countries, going to Europeans, and they're calling us slaves and making us cheap labor. We're never going to progress as a continent. We can't live in fear of our leaders. That is not leadership. And currently Malawians are not scared of the South African government. But the minute they land in Malawi, they're scared of the Malawian government. That's the problem. Because now here they are slaves to white people. The same white people you want us to fight. We are fighting them, but you're setting us back. And now when they go to Malawi and they land in Malawi, they know the laws and the rules because they respect their governments. Here in South Africa, we protect the human rights of people. Why is it not every single African country prioritize the protection of human rights of its own citizens?
Absolutely.
That's what we're complaining about.
Well, you have the repatriation flights going, or the evacuation flights, if you want to talk about that. You have the Malawians also moving their people by bus. Ghana has done the same. Countries are responding.
But you see, that's not the point.
No,
you're talking
you're
about
saying that it shouldn't start again.
I'm talking about they shouldn't even be here. You understand? Because the government is not providing them with what they need. And when you listen to Malawians who are talking about this issue, they are complaining that these migrants are the ones that don't want to go to school. From what we've been reading, they're saying, these people, they keep running to South Africa because they're lazy. They don't want to go to school. Then they make us look bad to the rest of the world. That's what they're saying. Yes, Malawians in Malawi. That's what they're saying. You understand? Which is one of the things that I was saying, is that in South Africa, that's why we're emphasizing the vetting process. Because we want migrants in the country. But give us good migrants. We want those good Nigerians. Do you know what you sound like? Doctors. We want
when you say give us good migrants. I grew up in the UK.
Yes.
And I grew up, I don't need to say my age on camera, but put it this way, I grew up at the time of heightened racism in the UK, and we have the same thing occurring again. And that is the language of white supremacism. They always say, give us the good migrants, give us the good Nigerians.
Okay, so what am I supposed to say? Give us the bad migrants.
No, give us the good black people.
So what am I supposed to say? Am I supposed to give us the bad migrants?
But do you realize how your language actually...
you're not listening to what I'm saying. That's why I think you want to compare me to white people.
No, I don't. Not at all.
I'm not white people.
No, I'm not at all.
What I'm trying
but that's
to say,
the language of...
I'm not racist.
I'm not saying you
I'm
are.
not
Permit
hateful.
me.
I'm talking about what's happening in my country right now. I'm not going to account for what's happening in the UK. I don't know why white people say that. I'm talking about what's happening in South Africa. Because if Malawians in Malawi, you hear me, are saying that these people are the ones that don't want to get an education, that's why they come here and they do all of these things. We actually get the same from Nigerians who say the people that are coming to your country to commit. I've had several Nigerians, I can even show you some of the inbox if I can find them. The people who are in your country committing bad things are Igbos, because they are the ones that live committing crimes. These are things that they have told me. These are people in their own countries.
But nobody ever said idiocy is unique to any part of the world.
No,
there are idiotic people all over the world.
But what I'm saying, there's no country that is wrong for saying they want good
migrants. There's
nothing wrong with that, because if you, as a Nigerian, say you want good South Africans to come to Nigeria, there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay,
there's nothing racist about that.
But these are the same good Nigerians, as you call it, that you say take the job of an HOD.
You don't.
I'm just saying.
In South Africa, we've got Nigerians who are doctors, right?
Yes,
who are providing a scarce skill.
Yes,
which is something we applaud.
Okay, so you're okay with that?
Why
but
wouldn't
I
be okay with
hold
that?
on, because you said earlier that South Africans were being discriminated.
You don't understand. I was explaining what the law says.
The law says that you must employ South Africans first.
Listen to what I'm saying. There's IT specialists that come from outside of South Africa that are providing skill that no South African has.
Correct.
The law allows that. It's perfectly fine. I'm saying we can't afford ordinary doctors, like entry-level doctors, to not have jobs, because we're taking entry-level doctors without any special skill from outside of South Africa. That's my point that I'm trying to make, because I'm quoting exactly what the law says, and the law is not wrong to say that, because you don't want to close out opportunities for your own people who don't have anywhere else to go but to this country. Of course, home is home. That's my point that I'm trying to say, because, for example, if we've got teachers, currently we've got so many Zimbabwean teachers that are not in this country, right? And when you follow...
You have many Zimbabwean teachers in South Africa, right?
Yes, I'll give you the numbers. I don't have them right now. Please remind me to give you
I
all
will,
of this.
don't worry, I'll
because
send you a
forget.
message.
So we've got a lot of Zimbabwean teachers, but we've got a high unemployment of teachers. You understand my point? And that is why
And that's local authority. Are the teachers not employed by local authority?
We're not denying that.
No, I'm just
That's
asking.
exactly my point. So what
asking.
we're doing as much and much, like I tried to explain to you, we're going to meet with ministers. We meet with the government. We meet with premiers of provinces. We meet with the police. We meet with officials. We even take our concerns to parliament. That's why we mingle with political parties, right? Because remember, we're not in parliament, but political parties are in parliament. So when we have a complaint, we take it to a political party to raise in parliament, right? That's why we have to have a relationship with political parties. You understand? So that's what I'm trying to explain here, is that right now in South Africa, all of that is being fixed because for a long time it's gone on as if it's normal, whereas laws were being broken. Even with those employers that you're saying, the white people, that's why those people are sitting outside. Because now they're scared that they are coming into the spotlight, because all along they were using those people as cheap labor, which is exactly what I'm saying, is that that's our duty, to highlight what the law says and why people are breaking the laws. That's the point.
Okay. Let's talk about the 30th.
Yes.
What's the plan for the 30th of June? What should we be expecting? I do wish I could stay till then, but I can't,
The
unfortunately.
30th of June, once again, it was a date that was announced by Phakelo Mthakathi, right? He gave it as a cut-off date for all people who are in the country legally to self-deport and go home. Because our government, when we spoke to them, they said that deportation is very expensive. This is what they said. Deportation is very expensive. We can't afford to deport all these people, and therefore that's why it's taking so long. So I believe that when he said that, it was a motivation for people to go to their country and leave the country, obviously because they know they're not in the country legally. And then when we saw the date is like gaining momentum, everyone is talking about it and they're aligning into March and March. Obviously now we're getting worried, like, okay, because what is going on? What is this about the 30th of June that everyone is talking about? So he tried to explain it, to say that it's not an event. It's not a Holocaust like people are trying to make it out to be. It's just a day that we've seen.
Well, it's been presented, and the way people have received it is a day of program.
I know,
a day when people...
I know.
Is it not that?
No.
It's just going to be a date.
As much and much, like I said, we saw the dates is getting out of hand because people have expectations that some of them are going to go out there and do crazy business.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, I've seen videos of somebody sharpening an axe, saying the 30th of June.
And the government has warned them against that, right?
But what's warning going to do? Whoever
I don't
responded
know, because
to warning.
honestly, I kind of, you see, that's what I'm trying to say. We didn't announce the 30th of June. We are now trying to just put the situation together, right? So that there's no people running around acting crazy. But at least when we gathered in one place, we can have a march, and there's police and there's security. We can manage that.
Are you going to march on the 30th of June?
We'll have to. We don't have a choice. Because if we don't march, people are going to start doing crazy things like the one you just said.
Right.
That's the problem. Because now everyone associates the 30th of June with March and March.
Yes.
And if we decide to sit back and not do anything and say, we're not going to do anything, what is the government doing?
Why don't you say
they're having press
we will
conference.
have our march on the 1st of July or the 5th of July? Please do not do anything on the 30th of June.
Oh, they're not going to listen to that. They're not going to listen to that. Because the 30th of June has been...
It's taken on a life of its own.
Even by government, right? Even government, even the international world is now talking about this 30th of June as if like... Then I said to... Like I even said to the government, the problem is the communication of the government. Because why are you creating fear? Like people must just be scared. If you are scared, for example, let's say if they felt like we are scaring people, why not call us? You understand? Call us and say, guys, the 30th of June, what is going on? Yabo, how do we mitigate the situation? Let's sit together. How do we fix it? You know what I mean? Don't go onto public platforms and keep saying, oh no, we are ready. We've got this much police. We've got this. It's adding to the fear. I was saying that we've had hundreds of marches. We've marched almost every day. You haven't seen people going and
But we do see, though.
No,
I mean,
but
we've
not
got
our
no,
marches.
not much. We do see individuals.
That's exactly
And all
why
I can say is that would it not be? No, I am asking. This is a question.
I'm frustrated because
I
I have to account for things other people do, and I'm trying my best.
It's not. I get what you're saying, that it's not march and march. But when you see these videos of people, individuals going into shops, gangs going into shops saying get out, doing this, doing that. Do you no, what I'm saying is, do you not feel like I like stop this? Have you said stop?
I've said it several times. I even showed you a video. I've been on TV saying the same thing, that we've never advocated for violence. We don't.
Do the other groups?
Do you know?
Hamba
No, we've asked
and all
them.
of
Yes,
them.
they do. They do. They do.
But how do you tell somebody to stop when you're holding weapons during your march?
I'm trying to tell you that weapons are part of the culture.
It's just part of the Zulu outfit.
Even if I show you wedding videos right now, they're still holding sticks. It's part of the outfit. It's got nothing to do with terrorizing people or beating them up or whatever, you know. And that's why I'm repeatedly trying to explain that there's a cross messaging somewhere, and there's a lot of fear. Obviously, I understand it's coming from things that have happened in the past. I get that. But also try and be rational when you're looking at things, you know. Try and sift through the message. When I speak, listen to what Jacinta is saying. Don't create your own version of what I'm saying. If you've never heard me advocate for violence, you can't then say that's what I'm saying. Because every time, like I say, I continuously say, we are dealing with the government. We hand over memorandum to government. When we do operations, yes, we're going to find illegal immigrants, we're going to remove them because they are breaking the law. They're not supposed to be in the country. But we're not going to do that on our own. We're going to have the police there because we're allowed to do that by law. But everything must be within the law.
Okay.
But we have to force the government, unfortunately, to do this with absolute vigor. Even if it goes to protesting every single day, we have to do that. But like I said, we do not want a model where people are going home in dead bodies. That's not what we want. We want a model where people are going home in full peace like you, and go there and say, listen, we were in South Africa, we were chased away, but we saw that the infrastructure is working, the roads are working, we want that for ourselves, so that we don't have to go to South Africa. You owe us that as our government. And if it means that all of us as Africans come together and be united with one voice and prove that Pan-Africanism is something that would work, it will work when we don't have to run away from our countries. There's no Pan-Africanism that works because you have to run away from Nigeria. That's not Pan-Africanism. It means we're not being honest with ourselves.
My last two questions. Number one is, you mentioned earlier on about lies or perception and things that have been said about you. In particular to do with Nigerians.
Yes.
What do you hold up to? Because I saw a video of you talking about your mother and Nigeria, right? There's also word of that you used to post that you were dating a Nigerian and everything. Can you put that together and just unpack that for us? What is true, what is false?
So,
because it is believed that that's partly why you hate Nigerians.
I don't hate Nigerians.
Okay.
They make me angry.
Why?
Because of their attitude and their behavior in the country.
How so?
Because of the drugs. Because
but
of
not
the...
all.
Of course.
Is that a representative?
It's not all.
I'm listening.
It's not all. That's why I'm saying I have very good Nigerian friends that we discuss football with, that we happen to be Lionel Messi fans, and we all love Messi. And that's why I have some Nigerians who are even supporting me. Henry Talks, Ace, all of those people, because they understand what I'm saying. That South Africans, you know the reason why we are so angry when it comes to foreign nationals, if we're being honest, because of Nigerians, Ethiopians, Somalians, Pakistanis, and the way they've been behaving in our country, right? Of course, it's not all of them. But like I said, if something is in your eyes, like if they've taken over cities where they call an entire point road, an entire place, it's known for drugs, it's known for prostitution. And everywhere where you find that there's a number of Nigerians, that's the most common things. There's drugs, there's prostitution, there's children there being trafficked to sell their bodies, etc. This is a normal thing. And that's why we are angry. It has nothing to do with, and we always say, Now, we know that Nigerians are good people, especially those in Nigeria. We're not advocating.
Well, there are lots of good Nigerians in South Africa.
No, we know those.
I mean, there's a huge professional.
Trust me.
Professional community.
Like I said,
yes.
I have some of them as friends, so I know that. I know that. I'm talking about those particular ones. I'm not talking about. So I don't know. When I speak and I speak about Nigerians in a negative tone, I'm talking about those ones. I'm not talking about every single Nigerian. Unfortunately, it's going to come out as generalized because they are a general group. Unfortunately. So when we talk about that, it's not because we're saying we look at Nigerians and we say, oh, we hate you. No.
No, you said
something.
You said yes.
No, we
you
hate
said they're
the
annoying.
behavior,
Yes.
not them as
Right.
people. We don't like the things they're doing in the country. That's a fact. And we just wish that
So
the
is
ones
this
that are there that
part
can
of the
acknowledge.
reason of what happened to your mom?
So what happened with my mom is that she was married to a Nigerian
Okay.
that she was not married to. And she was told when she tried to divorce, they said when she tried to remove the marriage and do it, they said she had to divorce and he would give her half of it. And that was the whole fight around that.
Do you know where he was? I mean, did
You
she
don't
know
know
him?
the person at all.
So how did she end up being married to
It's
him?
the thing I was telling you about, the Home Affairs fraud and corruption.
Right.
That they do that. It was
Yes.
a normal thing, long time ago, before they tightened up the system. So now the system has become tighter, but now what's happening is...
But
you
can
will
a
go
South
to-
African woman give a man
No, they
nationality?
definitely do that. Some of them
No,
do
I'm
that.
just asking. Can a South
Yeah,
African
no,
woman
remember,
give nationality to a
Like I
non-South
said-
African
Like
man?
I said, the system has been tightened. Before it was easier. You'd automatically...
But I think your
almost-
law is that a South African woman cannot give nationality to a non-South African man. Isn't that it?
No, they can. That's why there's a show even on TV called Fake Marriages. That's what they do. They give them money to marry them. Then a lot of them end up having problems because their children now end up having to have the surname of this man that they don't even know. So they're asking this presenter on TV to help them find this man so they can annul this marriage because it was a fake marriage. So it's a thing that happens.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is possible for a
Yes.
non-South African male
Yes.
to marry a South African
Yes.
female
And
then
citizenship.
get a
Yes.
citizenship.
Yes. It's very much possible.
Is there naturalization?
Yes.
But why is that rarely ever spoken about? Why is it always document? I'm just asking.
Because naturalization is a more difficult process.
Right.
Yeah. So citizenship is easier.
Right.
Naturalization kind of makes you a full citizen.
Yes.
You're able to vote, etc.,
Yes.
etc. So that's very difficult. It's not as easy as getting citizenship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
that's,
your
that's
mom,
part
going
of
back
the
to your
problems
mom.
that we were talking about, that a lot of people end up being married with people that they didn't. I think that's where this first sort of pain came from, if I can
Right.
call it pain. And you know, just being around people sharing their different stories, man, it hasn't been nice. But like I said, you hate the actions, you don't hate the person.
Yes.
That must be very clear. Because I mean, I've met Nigerians all across the world. We still get along, we still fine. There's, like I said, there's other ones where we have football in common. We sit, we talk about it, because you don't hate the nationality, you hate the actions. And I really
The
wish
actions
that
of some.
Yes. In our country, I think it's most in our country.
You think most Nigerians in
Here, in
Nigeria,
South Africa.
in South Africa
Yeah.
are criminals?
Not necessarily. They don't have
No,
to be
well,
criminals. It's the behavior.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
behave in what
Yes.
way? So if they're not criminals, what's the other behavior? Because marrying somebody without their knowledge is
Listen,
criminal
you know
behavior.
what? Let me tell you.
Yeah.
I don't want to put the blame solely on them.
No, I
Because
know.
South
I'm just
Africa
asking you about
is a
Nigerians
country
because
that makes it easy for corruption
course.
to happen. That's
Of
where the
course.
problem is. So they'll be rigging electricity, hijacking. There's a lot. You know, there's a lot that happens. And I don't want you to take, like I said, I'll send you some of the stories so you can understand. You know, it's not something that you must take at face value.
Okay.
Like I said, since October, even 2 episodes ago, it's always on Sunday. Always on Sunday. There's always Nigerians selling drugs. And
But
I
do you
think,
not
know
think
what,
those programs actually add fuel to the fire? They make
you
things
see,
worse.
that's why I was
they
saying
inflame.
That's why I was saying to why
the society.
Much and Much came about. Much and Much came after Sizzle Tola. Sizzle Tola has been playing for 3 years. And that's why people have been getting angrier. And that's why we also decided to take a stand, because people in communities were getting angrier.
Because the one I watched, even though they take them away, right? You don't ever get to see the results of how many were
The court
documented,
process takes
how
a
many,
long time.
yes, how many
Yeah.
were undocumented. So it gives a framework of, we've arrested 100, 200 from this house. And I saw the woman talking to them. I mean, for a start, the way she speaks to them is totally unacceptable, I have to say. But outside of that, the framing is, we've come into this house, we've taken all these Malawians out, you know, and then they put them in a bus.
Yeah.
And
those
they go.
ones, it's for the ones I was telling you about that get
we
employed.
don't. You never get to hear.
I'll show you the crime one that I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm just saying you never get to hear the result of when they take them to the police station or when they take them to the ministry. The result is not there.
Yeah,
so those things are just fueling the polity and just
That's why I'm
making
saying
people,
to you, this
they're
shows-
rage baiting.
But that's what I'm saying to you, that's why the tension has been so high. It's not something that came now. It's been ongoing. It's been.
And this is DSTV. And DSTV has a huge market across Africa.
Yes.
Indeed, a huge market
Look, I
in
think
Nigeria.
you've got a right to complain about that. I think you can submit your complaints, and I'm sure they'll take it in. But the point is, those are the shows that we sit and watch, and you can understand from a South African perspective. If you're on Sunday,
course.
every single Sunday,
Of
you're
course.
seeing Nigerians saying, "Oh, I came to South Africa.
Of
Why are you
course.
selling drugs? Oh, because I'm not working." Then you ask yourself, why did you come to South Africa? So all you guys are here to sell drugs. It makes everyone unhappy.
It makes everybody angry.
Exactly. And
Absolutely.
I'll show you the
and
show.
it stigmatizes a group.
Exactly.
Right.
But then it also doesn't help that every Sunday they're there as well.
Well,
then it
because they
shows
know
that-
where to go. I mean, if I want to prove that somebody is or a group is bad, and I know that I know where to find the bad
do you
eggs,
know-
I would always go there.
But do you know that
And
South
film
Africa,
there.
But do you know there's 9 provinces in South Africa, and 6 of the 9 provinces. This is something that was written by the South African Police Service. I'll even show you the names. Please remind me of all of this before I forget.
I'm going to write this down.
Please, the South African Police Service.
SA
There's a
Police
list
Province,
of
right?
of the 9 provinces, 6 of the provinces have Nigerians as kingpins. That also speaks of a problem. And I want you guys to also be honest with yourselves about that. 6 out of 9 is a problem.
Look.
And I always say is that, you know, I've always even seen Nigerians in Nigeria complaining that, you know, when they get deported from other countries besides South Africa, when they get help for drugs, they also complain. They're like, these people are giving us a bad name. And I was saying, it's a conversation that you guys must also have. Why are they going to other places and selling drugs and committing crimes and all of these things? It's not giving your country a good name, and that's not something that you also want as a reputation.
You know, there are criminals in all societies, and those who are criminals and who have a criminal mind will carry their criminal behavior irrespective of where they come from.
I don't deny that, but let me tell you, South African criminals are in South Africa. That's the difference. Because South African criminals are in South Africa. I'm not saying that they don't go to other places, but they don't go to other places in numbers, giving the country a bad name. That's where your problem is that Nigerians are outside in other countries committing crimes and giving the country a bad name.
But
That's the
Nigerians
reality.
do business all over the world.
That's the
We
thing.
are entrepreneurs.
It's being overshadowed by the bad people. That's the point. Unfortunately.
Well,
So this is the
so-
other.
right.
This is the lady that is apparently me, right?
Oh,
You can see
yes.
her name, right?
Yes.
Do you see who she is?
Who is she? Rafiba Jua, is that
Yes.
right? Who is she?
I don't know who she is either, but apparently she's me.
Right, and what did she say?
She's the one that says she's dated a Nigerian. She would cheat with a Nigerian. Listen to
Oh,
this
I
video.
see.
Baby, it's your daddy.
Oh, I
So this
see.
is
I
the
need
video.
to show it to the camera. Yeah.
So you can see who owns the
So
house,
you've never
right?
dated a Nigerian?
In my life, no.
I love Nigerian people.
I've never. You see?
I
That's
love
her.
Nigerian man.
So they started saying that's me.
Marry a South African man.
You've never actually
never.
dated
with a
one?
Nigerian man.
And I'm married now, so that's never going to happen
Well,
anyway.
clearly. How long do you intend to continue with March and March? Number one. Number two, when you say your main fight is with government, it's with government not managing your borders.
Yeah,
It's not with the individuals.
yeah.
Are you planning to turn March and March into a political group?
Never.
You're not planning to turn it and maybe
No,
run
let me tell
for
you.
office?
Let me tell you. I can't wait to go back to normal life if my life will ever be normal. I'm tired. This thing is tiring.
So
But
how do we
one
stop
thing-
this thing from recurring?
You
Because
know
this
how
is
we
not the
stop
first
it?
time.
You know what we stop?
This
you know,
has been going
no,
on.
You know how we stop it? We have we're going to deal with governments. It's the government that's going to stop it. And we will deal with the government. They'll have to stop it. Because at the end of the day, if they don't stop it, this will continue like a cycle. The government
But
of
this
South
happens,
Africa,
and it always happens close to elections.
Nah,
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
But
I
records
think,
show so.
unfortunately, I think that it's been a bad thing where people use it to get into power, where they make promises when they're in power, they forget about the people. That's why I'm not going to the political party. Because this is not about politics for me. This is just about making sure that South Africa is a good country, that people can still have a country as South Africans after everything, after every politicians are done milking it and done stripping it apart and selling it off to all foreigners in the world. It still is a country that South African children can have.
So
something to
Nigerians, Malawians, Zimbabweans, they have nothing to fear on the 30th of June with regards to a massive pogrom. I'm just asking. I mean, I think you need to say whether yes or no, because this is a great fear.
Let me tell you something about hurting people. You don't issue a date for hurting people if you want to hurt them. Do you understand?
Well, you can issue a date, and all they did was issue a date and say, please, people should go. And those who want to
But
take,
like I've explained the
those
date.
who want,
I've explained the date.
Yeah,
issue,
no, and
right?
that's what I'm saying.
But
So
what I'm saying is, if we wanted to hurt people, we've been in existence for a year. People would have long been hurt. It's not going to take the 30th of June.
but there
to
was
hurt
not
people.
a date.
The date is not about hurting people. That's the point.
No, I know, but that's what I'm reconfirming
Yes,
with you. Are you saying that Nigerians, Malawians, all the migrants in South Africa need not worry about a massive pogrom, violent pogrom
I'm saying that
on the 30th
violence
of June?
is never on our plans. But we do want people in the country legally to leave.
And if they
we
don't, and if they're not able to,
no, the government
what
is going to
happens
make
then?
them leave.
No, but 30th of June is what, next week?
I've explained the 30th of June deadline, okay?
Right, so you do want them to leave, but not on 30th of June.
There's no sane person in their head who thinks by the 30th of June all illegal immigrants would have been gone.
Well, that's the fear. That I'm just saying, Jacinta, you have to understand.
I have to run away.
How, no, we are done. But you have to understand how people feel.
Please understand. I'm not running away from anything that you're saying. Thank you so much. You've been very graceful. You've really given me a time to speak. You've listened to me. You've disagreed with me, but you haven't been rude about it.
Absolutely not.
You've been very kind, and I appreciate that. You came all the way just to give me an ear. Right now, I'm saying to you, there's not a single African person that I wouldn't want to see going to fight their government. Because what I see happening in Africa is horrible. The conditions that African people are allowing their government to put them through is horrible. What I would like ideally is that once South Africa goes back to laws, because I keep highlighting what the laws of the country say, and unfortunately South Africa has been going on being unlawful for a very long time. And that's why we are re-inviting the law into our country, reminding our government of what the law says. Unfortunately, not everyone's going to be happy with us. Unfortunately, we can't control everyone, but we will try our best to control what we can. And if it means making sure that there's no violence, trust and believe me, we've got extra security that we've paid for on our own to make sure that they go and protect businesses and all of these things, because we don't want any of that. We've been through 2021, and in 2021, I can assure you, I was the first person to go out into my community and start cleaning up the community and tell them just how wrong it is that we had looting and all of these things. I'm not for that.
And lacing.
I'm not for that. Yes. You won't find me in those places, in those spaces. That is why I'm always in boardrooms fighting this issue of illegal immigration. What I do want, though, is for our African brothers and sisters to respect our country, because currently they don't do that. That is the honest truth. They don't respect us. They don't respect our country. You must see them on Facebook tormenting me, tormenting South Africans, telling us they're not going anywhere, this is their country, Mandela gave it to them, this, all of these things. You don't want to do that. It's not fair on us, right? Because you're placing the burden on us and they get away scot-free to do whatever they want. So we're saying responsibility lies on both South Africans and foreign nationals to behave themselves in South Africa. Let us deal with the issue of migration. If you're coming to the country, come in through the legal routes and the right way. So that when we go to your country, we also feel comfortable knowing that we're respecting your country's laws. Because you don't want us to come to your country and do as we want and just behave anyhow. That's not fair. But ideally, the model is for Africa to work. For all Africans. We have children now that deserve to have a functioning Africa. We're Africans and black people, we don't glorify just our skin color. We think like people who want to improve the continent. We behave like people who want to. We can't have dictators every single time. We've got 90-year-olds sitting there running the country while people are being beaten up and hit. Human rights must not only apply in South Africa. Human rights must apply everywhere in Africa. African leaders must not sit there in those Pan-African parliaments and discuss minds and all of. They must discuss real life African people problems. How are they making their people live better? The infrastructure, the roads, how are they improving their lives? And I'm so annoyed that we get to spend so much time discussing this issue over real other. I mean, I was so annoyed that there's children in Nigeria being kidnapped. I want to be there to help Nigerians to say we can't have whatever Boko Haram or ever terrorizing the. What is the Nigerian government doing about that? They can't go on as if it's business as usual while the children getting kidnapped. That can't. We as the citizens of Africa really need to hold our governments accountable. And if we continue to fight each other, we're never going to get to that phase.
Jacinta,
thank you, my sister.
I tried to. I've practiced your name.
Several.
Ngobese Zuma.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure
Thank you,
talking.
my sister.
Thank
I'm so sorry
you.
I'm late.
No, it's okay.
Meeting,
Thank you for giving up your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you,
Thank you. I
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it.